Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Chairman Bouchon for talking about those two bills. He saved me a little bit of time. I want to especially mention the Cybersecurity Enhancement Act, which is a bill that I've done with Congressman McCall in past Congresses also, and as often happens, we are waiting for the Senate to act. Hopefully, they will move soon on that. So that lets me move into my next question, which is for Mr. Brookman and Mr. Romine, but anyone else can jump in. Technology plays an important role in countering cyber threats, but we all know that there are important other factors that can contribute to cyber attacks also. Human factors often help facilitate successful cyber intrusions by individuals who mistakenly or incorrectly give up passwords or open up emails from strangers, for instance, or they make their password, as was mentioned earlier. From a cybersecurity and cyber policy perspective, how do we begin to address those elements to help counter cyber attacks? That is, what is the importance of social science research, especially, to look at the problems of cybersecurity that come from the human factors and what can be done to encourage people to practice better cyber hygiene? So let's start with Mr. Brookman.
Sure. So I'm not a researcher, but I know there is a lot of good social science research going on these issues. I know Carnegie Mellon University, for example, Dr. Laurie Craner, Alessandro Chisti, Berkeley has done some really good work with Chris Hoofnagel, Stanford, Alicia McDonald. There's a lot of looking into these issues about what kind of nudges you can give to folks to do the right thing. I don't know how much their research has been implemented in the marketplace. From a policy perspective, I think the most important thing you can do is to put the incentives in place to make companies make the right decisions, that if they bear the liability, they're the ones who have to push people to do harder passwords. I think it's very hard to prescribe that at a federal level. But I think putting stronger incentives on companies in the event that they let people do password, then perhaps they bear liability, I think is probably the best solution.
Okay. Dr. Romine.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be able to say that my laboratory has an active research program in the usability of security. We have a staff of psychologists, human factors, engineers, computer scientists that are working on this problem. And I'd like to make a couple of points. One is, of course, regulating behavior is often not going to be as effective as making strides in usability. The goal is to make it easy to do the right thing, make it hard to do the wrong thing, and make it easy to recover when the wrong thing happens anyway. And the other thing I would say is this idea that there's a trade-off between usability and security, I think, is a false dichotomy. The idea that you can actually achieve better security, more realized security, if you improve the usability of the security, and particularly the identity management that you're undertaking.
Does anyone else want to comment on that at all? Let me move on then to the notification of the cyber breaches. There's currently no federal data breach notification regulation. So many cyber attacks, the consumers are not notified for days or longer after the company realizes it has been successfully attacked. And Mr. Chabinsky had talked about what usually is what the response is. Can each of you give us very briefly your thoughts on requiring a national data breach notification requirement? Start with Mr. Chabinsky and go across.
I fully support the goals of a national data breach law. Right now, industry is subjected to, I think at last count, it's 46 different data breach statutes across the books across our land. That is making it very difficult, not only for consumers to get any sort of consistent approach in data breach notification, but for industry to actually have the confidence and ability to react in a quick way across so many different jurisdictions.
Yeah, we're really ambivalent on the need for a federal data breach notification. As you said, there are 46 states, so it's by and large already required. Making it more seamless, more easy to have a data breach incident is arguably somewhat counterproductive, right? If it's easier for you to comply, well, then there's less incentives for you to get security right in the first place. So we think in order to be effective, you have to pair it with something else, some sort of comprehensive privacy or security requirements to make that effective for consumers.
Yes, I definitely support some uniform data breach notification guidelines for industry rather than having a state-by-state approach, because it does provide industry with a better framework by which they can set up their procedures to be able to uniformly inform their customers when a breach occurs. I would only caution that notifying customers when a breach occurs and then notifying them what their risks are and what they're able to do to address those risks is still going to be up to the individual organization that has been breached, and therefore there still needs to be control within the individual organizations in terms of how they manage the relationship with their customers.
Congressman, as I indicated, the Council does not speak on legislation, but generally we support awareness of these types of issues.
Thank you. Dr. Romine.
And I would agree that a further discussion needs to take place on whether that's an advisable approach. From my perspective as a NIST representative, it's outside the technical scope of our activities.
All right. Thank you very much. Yield back.